This is my final project update. So for my final project, I decided to update my project 3 and try to make some improvements. So my project 3 was a little bit clunky, wasn't too fancy. You can see my balloons were represented as flat circles. Not a whole lot of shadowing going on here. We have the rotating movable turret in the center that shoots a laser projectile. The turret cannot traverse a landscape. It actually just stays centered, but it can swivel around and aim at all the different balloons. And the balloons they're multicolored, and they actually change color when they're shot, and then they float away into the sky. So it's essentially just a target shooting game that I'm going to be working on for my final project. A few things that I should note is that the movement on the circles was very limited. It was very choppy, so that's one of the things that I will address. And also the scoreboard, it was pretty finicky. It didn't really work too well. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It was a bit glitchy, and sometimes it would end up with negative scores, but so yeah. So for my milestones, I've modeled a bunch of things in Blender. The balloons, the base of the tank that the turret will sit on, and some rocket projectiles, which I will show you. So here is my balloon that I have modeled in Blender, and I will be using these as moving targets that will float around for you to shoot. And I'm going to change the movement. I'm going to improve the movement from the previous project, so it's not going to be choppy. It's going to be smooth animation with it float around and can be shot at and fly away when you shoot them. Here I have my tank body. So the tank body actually has movable treads. Well, they're movable in Blender, but I've yet to implement that into my project. So I have these treads, the tank body, and on top of this sits my turret which is already in the project, but this is going to sit under my rotating swiveling turret to make my tank. And then I have my projectile that I will be shooting out of the tank towards the balloons. Just a 3-dimensional rocket, got some boosters, some flares. It was surprisingly difficult to make these fins. I didn't want to go for a simple just triangle on the edge, so I tried to do something a bit more 3-dimensional. So yeah, my projectile. And I have exported these 3D models as a GLB, and I'm working on implementing them into my game right now. So them being GLB files, I needed to import some sort of GFL loader or some sort of loader to get them into so that I can use them with my 3JS. So that's one of the things that has taken a surprising amount of time, is getting the GLTF loader to work. It's very complicated. I'm really struggling on this, and it's almost making me question what I'm doing with this game. Maybe I might want to abandon these models and go a different direction. I don't know. It's been extremely frustrating getting these models to work or to move around or behave as I want them to. And there's something I didn't really expect when I was adding these models in. I thought it would just kind of be straightforward and I could treat them as we have with other 3JS objects, but so far that has not been the case for me. So hopefully I can really make some breakthroughs in the days ahead before I submit this. I had a lot of caching and null parameter issues with like my scoreboard and other things. So I've also been focusing on that. It's very frustrating because sometimes my project works and then sometimes I just get a black screen every time. So that was something that really plagued me in project 3, but I've actually fixed the null parameter / caching issues that I was having continually. And I've also fixed the scoreboard so that we don't get any negative numbers and it can accurately reflect the number of objects on screen. My to-do list. So I want to improve the functionality of my 3D models. Like I was saying, it has been quite a headache trying to get them to move as expected. So I'm going to try and improve that. Hopefully I can get the tank to move around on this surface, and also I want to have a start screen, end screen, and restart. That would obviously be before, after, and restart the set of the entire game. And I also need to work on some textures. I want to add a tank texture that makes it look nice and weathered like a good tank should be. And my wish list, so I want to add a 3-dimensional traversable landscape that my tank can drive over. And I want the tank tracks to actually spin when I have them into my 3GS game. I have them set up right now so that they can spin in Blender, but that is something that I'm struggling with in my actual game, is to get them to spin while the tank is moving. Another thing I want to add is a 3D graphics for the start, end, and restart screen. Some sort of cheesy 80s kind of pop up that's like zing, player 1, something like that. So that would be really cool. Sound would be really cool as well if I could add some sort of sound into this. And also I would like to have some sort of first-person shooter angle on my tank if possible. So that is my progress report. Thank you so much. Bye.